Hello, we're live. We're live, and I'm alive, and you're alive. Welcome to Who's Your Caddy? I am your hostess, Kelly Singh at Kelly in Phoenix. Thank you so much for tuning in this week and every week. We are not your typical DFS show, totally. We don't go through tier by tier, but we do give you 3 of our very best picks so that you can build your own team around that. So, why don't we go ahead and get right into it? You can't help but dance, right? So this week, we are talking about the Wyndham Championship. The season is coming to a close. But before I get in too deep, I want to bring in my co-host with the mo-host. That doesn't even make sense, but Adam Hallas, Mr. Hallas on Twitter. What up?
What's happening?
Oh, Wendy. Wendy's back. What up, Wendy? We've missed you. Adam, what's new? Is your air conditioning hanging in there?
It is. I saved like a whole bunch of money when I heard it kick back on after the surge, and I was like, "It's making some noises." I rushed over to the thermostat and turned it off. And I was like, "Yes, save the compressor." Yeah. Anyway, problems of adulthood, right?
I mean, I've been watching podcasts over the last week. There have been power outages. I mean, I think a lot of this is heat related for sure. Probably.
Definitely. Like we weren't as hot as you guys out in Southwest, but we were. I think the max we got was maybe like 107, 108.
But you have at 107, 108 with humidity. That's gross.
Hey, it's a little gross.
It's pretty gross.
Yeah.
Yeah. We haven't had as much humidity, but when it does get high enough, we get storms, and there've been a couple storms. So I will tell you that 110 plus at 40% humidity is super gross, but you do get super storms. So there's that. But I am so glad to be done with July every single day, 110 plus. Moving into August, there's a slight cool down to 108. But it's nothing crazy, nothing to write home about. I don't know. Weather. Last week, I really was not super thrilled. I had a mixed bag myself. Did not do well in our small friend tournament again this week and made my money back plus 75 cents on
Hey.
a larger tournament.
Yeah, 75 cents puts you in a different tax bracket.
Hey, it does. Finau Jaeger posting. All thumbs up. Glover, Sig, boo, boo, boo. And anybody else I added, boo. Any of my builds, none of my builds did, nothing to write home about. But I was pleased to at least break even plus 75 cents. $3 in, $3.75 out. Big money.
Big money.
How about you?
I lost $5. I think I put all together like 35 in, and I got 30 out. I was going to break even, but then round 4 kind of came about, and I was like, "Oh, I am not going to break even." But I was looking at our picks, your picks, my picks, and Hideki, JJ Spawn both made the cut.
Yeah.
Gim had a masterful performance on round 2 to make the cut. Like it was, I think he went like -8. and so he made the cut. So with our course combined,
Yeah. If
somebody
anybody combined them, for sure.
should have
I
made some
mean,
money.
one of the reasons I was even hanging on was because I played Finau. Most people went ahead and faded Finau being the defending champion. So if you played Finau and had, any combination, you might have ended up in the money potentially.
Yeah, you at least would have, I'll say, just a little bit shy of min cashed.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Man, well, I like a good combo pick. I know Wendy is a fan of comboing our picks. Wendy's giving me a shout out that my 375 is still a win, and she's right. She's right. That's fine. This week, we are traveling to Greensboro, North Carolina, Sedgefield Country Club. I did not know this because I didn't really pay attention. I don't always pay attention to the history of the course per se or how
Hmm.
many times a tournament necessarily. I know, like, I'll look back like the last 2, 3, 4, 5 years or whatever at course history. They've been playing here for 85 years.
Sedgefield.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a staunch old course, as they
I
say.
was just like, wow, that is some course history. But what's really kind of ironic about all that is there isn't in this field people that have played. I mean, I saw like 4 years, maybe 5 years. There wasn't like anybody that's like, I'm a lifer.
Well, the thing that kind of sucks for this particular tournament is it is the last hope, the last bastion for a lot of these golfers ever since they
Mhm.
instituted the FedEx points and playoff. And so a lot of the major golfers that already, even if they won or placed here, don't really move up their rankings. So like, oh, fuck it, I'll
I'm just
just
gonna
take the
skip.
weekend. Yeah, take the weekend off. Um,
Yeah. Well,
so a
there's a
lot,
huge story about that, right?
right.
We've got Justin Thomas. I was doing a little research on this. If I'm stealing your thunder, I am sorry, but I do want your feedback
No,
on this.
steal my thunder.
I was trying to, it's on every headline, but essentially, if he finishes in the top 5, it's all but secured that he will continue into the postseason, secure a spot at the St. Jude Championship. A top 10 finish gives him better than 50-50 in that. Obviously, I think all of this hinges on how other players on the bubble also finish.
Hmm.
And then I read if he finishes anything less than tied for 13th. I did read another article that said tied for 8. He needs to take 18th alone, which would be really hard to do. So I went with this one that said where he finishes less than tied for 13th, then there's going to need to be like some super voodoo magic happening for him to make the postseason.
Yeah, and of course we're talking about Justin Thomas, right? And
Right.
so
Which
um,
he's not been playing well though, Adam. He's been playing so poorly.
he has, but like, if there was ever a person that you've identified with more, just like as a weekend warrior golfer or anything like that, I mean, like, I've made all the shots. I just can't either putt or when I start putting, I can't approach the green. And so he's clearly frustrated, clearly got the case. I wouldn't say the case of the Shanks, just bad luck. Um, so yeah, so he's competing with Adam Scott, who's 81. Um, and he needs somewhat silver. Just he needs something similar to what Justin Thomas needs. And then we have Joel Dahman, who's kind of on a bubble, but I really wouldn't count him as competition. Um, Ahead of Justin, though, is Shane Lowry, and Shane Lowry could give him some problems. Um, so, all that being said, is yeah, people that are on the bubble um, could give him some headaches, but I'm rooting for Justin.
I mean, it's hard not to root for him, that's for sure. I did also read how he's been adjusting or changing even his putter. And it's like, sir, why are we doing this right now?
Well, he was quoted as saying, he goes, "I will putt with a shoe if that will help me get the ball in the hole."
I like that. I like that quote. It's a good one.
So he's feeling it. And to be fair, there's been a couple people that have changed their putting grip recently, and Glover is one of them. And up until the last tournament, he had been playing pretty well. Um, so a lot of people changing stuff towards the end of the, the stretch here.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. I mean, if you're not doing well, you gotta do something, I suppose.
Yeah.
Well, I looked at my picks this week. We use several different tools as we go through this. And honestly, this week I just started looking at who's playing decently well and who has played decently well at this course
Hmm.
and kind of mash that up. I don't know that it's necessarily the greatest strategy, but after we had a little small talk about what you were weighing, I feel better about some of my picks even.
Hmm.
So, why don't you tell us what is it that you're looking for this week at this course?
Well, I am looking at a little bit of course history. Um, and when I look at course history, the player that has kind of the best course history is Sung J M. But I'm to be honest, I think this is one of those tournaments where if you leave a few figures in your salary bucket, you're going to be okay. Um, so some of the things I'm looking at for, kind of weighing my model a bit is I'm looking at approach. Typically, approach here is higher than average, around the 150, 175 mark, because we are at a shorter course. So we're at 7,100 yards, golf course, par 70. I wouldn't say it's going to be another birdie fest, but it's going to be fairly close. The top 10 finishers that have played here, average shots gained have been around approach and putting on Bermuda, and it is slightly on the fast side. So we're on the 13 of the step meter. So if the step meter is, how fast the green is, 12 to 14 is, I would say, fast to lightning fast. So that's what we're dealing with. And then off the tee, the fairways are about average, hitting wise. And so off the tee is about third when you're looking at average shots gained. So we're looking for a pretty well-rounded ball striker. And obviously no okay short game, but ball striking got edges out the short game a bit. And when you're looking at the course overall, and we're looking at birdies, there are two holes that you have better than a 50% shot at getting a birdie and almost 10% shot at getting eagles. And that's holes number 5 and 15. And both of them are par 5. So you might want to look at somebody who's
Oh,
pretty good at par 5 scoring. Um, and then we have a couple holes that are pretty good, okay, at birdies. Now the back 9 is going to play a little bit harder. Holes 12, 11, 10, 11, 12, 14, 18 have about a 70% par rate, which means that they really don't gain a lot of birdies. Um, and then there's been about 20% bogeys on those holes. But the rest of the course plays a little bit easier. Uh,
okay.
so I'll give you a
Okay.
little bit of background.
I like that. I like the par 5 scoring average. That is not something I necessarily thought to look at. So when we do, if we were to look at that just individually, does that change things much for me? And actually, Justin Thomas ranks really well on par 5s. Not really well, but better than most.
Yeah, he's popped up in my model as well, and I'm like, I kind of want to play him only for like the emotional, come on, get him type thing.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I
but
mean,
yeah,
you know who's up there? Matt Kuchar.
I know. Um,
Mr. Kind Eyes, super good at par 5 scoring average,
he
but
is, but he hasn't been. Yeah,
he's been on a cold streak.
I don't know if it's just the constant grind because it is a grind of playing these, and he's getting tired. Um, but he hasn't been playing well. He hasn't been playing up to what he's capable of. Let me just put it that way. He barely made the cut at John Deere, and he did okay at the 3M Open last week.
Yeah. Wendy said she knew it. How could she not know it? It seems to be all I ever talk about. One day he will move on to the Champions, aka Seniors Tour, and then I might just have to bet on those. Okay. Well, I don't know. Let's talk about our core picks. Who do you got this week?
Well, this week, like I said, I don't know if I'm going to stay away from the higher price range yet or not. But some of the people I'm looking at to kind of make up my core pool are Denny McCarthy, Alex Smalley, and Doug Gim and or Kevin Stroman. So those are kind of who I'm looking at right now. When I'm looked at and created my model, of course, I looked at approach, I looked at putting, I looked at off the tee, and total Denny McCarthy has been outside of the Open. Before he played at the Open, he has tied for 6th at John Deere, tied for 7th at the Travelers, tied for 20th at Open, was 2nd at Memorial. He's been playing excellent golf, and a lot of it's due to his approach and putting. And those are two things I said that would be needed here in the course. So yeah, I'm looking at Denny McCarthy, and then I chose Alex Smalley. He's also in 10th in my model. He did get cut at the Scottish Open, but again, John Deere Rocket Mortgage Travelers, we go 2nd, 47th, and 9th. So he's been doing pretty well. His approach has been on par. He ranks 3rd in the field for approach. His putting's a little suspect, but off the tee and approach, I'm hoping that he can bring it together here.
I like it. McCarthy and Smalley also popped up on my radar.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't remember why. I mean, it's probably just totally random as to why I didn't add them to my final picks, but
Mm-hmm.
I like it. I like Smalley. I think Smalley felt a little risky for me. But now that you've said it, maybe I do like it more.
Well, maybe I'm a risky guy.
When somebody else says something you're thinking, you can't help but be like, okay, maybe.
All right, maybe.
Maybe. I was kind of, like I said, looking at recent play, looking at course history, and my core picks I'm going to give right now also are in that mid to lower range. So that's always a good thing because if you decide that you want to play somebody, why is Jaeger not popping up for me right now? Weird.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. Um, if you want to play somebody who's more of a favorite, then you have the budget to do so. Like you absolutely can go out there and play some of those bigger, more reliable, quote unquote names, chalkier names, perhaps. But I chose to stay there kind of in the middle. Taylor Pendrith, he played pretty decent over the last, I don't know, 4 or 5 weeks. He's 30th and 34th. I mean, that's middle of the pack. 3M Open and Barracuda Championship.
Mm-hmm.
Tied for 13th at John Deere, tied for 9th at Rocket Mortgage. So the last 5 weeks, that guy's been pocketing some cash. I think it's good. And I was surprised to see that he was just 7.5K on DraftKings. That feels like a fantastic value to me. he tied for 13th here last year.
That sounds pretty darn good.
I feel like it's good. Davis Riley also tied for 13th here last year. 8.4 on DraftKings. He's been playing golf also over the last 5 or 6 weeks, other than being cut. I shouldn't say 5 or 6 weeks, 5 or 6 outings. He was cut from the Open Championship, 35th at the Genesis Scottish Open, 33rd Rocket Mortgage, 45th Travelers. So just kind of middle of the pack, but also tied for 13th. And again, not super expensive at 8.4 on DraftKings. So I'm feeling okay about it.
Good.
Stefan Jaeger, always a favorite. I don't know why. Jägermeister. He just pops up on my radar a lot. Again, very mediocre golf. 13th at John Deere and 9th at Rocket Mortgage were his best showings. 34th at Barracuda 2 weeks ago, 30th at the 3M Open. So I actually really like this because I feel like these guys, while they're playing mediocre golf, or even let's just say Jaeger, he's been playing good golf. They all tied for 13th here last year, which is weird.
It's a little weird.
They've all been playing kind of mediocre. So I feel like we're good for like a 20 or better. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Maybe I'm just stretching it a bit much, but I feel great about all of these guys making the cut. All these picks making the cut, all these guys being great picks. Okay. Who's your wild card, Adam? Who is your WTF this
Get
week?
low. Get low. Justin Lower. Justin Lower?
Justin Lower.
Justin a bit low. Yeah. That's who I'm picking, is Justin Lower. And here's why. He is doing pretty good. He's fairly okay on driving distance. Accuracy is okay. Better than average. Greens and regulation, pretty good. Putts per round, he's doing great. But when it comes to easy courses or average to easy courses, he does pretty well. So he loves these kind of birdie fests. He did 43rd of 3M Open, 44 in the Barbasol, 8th at the Rocket Mortgage. He missed the cut of Travelers. But he get 25 of the RBC Canadian. I think he does okay here. He's not going to knock your socks off, but if you need somebody that's kind of like a value pick to help fill out your roster, he's going to be your guy.
I like it. I like it. I was copying and pasting our picks in because I know Wendy really likes when I do that.
All about Wendy.
It's all about Wendy. Well, my WTF, I have never played this person before. I have seen them come up on my radar, and I've watched from afar as they do pretty well. And that happens to be Garrick Higo at just 7.3 on DraftKings. He's actually been playing very well recently, but not on this course last year. I think he was like missed a cut at like 120 something place. So not great on this course, but I feel like if you've been playing well as he has been playing, in fact, let me just take a look because now I'm so curious. So curious. Let's type it in. Let's just give it a little tippity type. Eric, what is it?
His off the tee is off the charts. He's ranked 7th in this field.
Last 4 weeks. Going back 4 weeks, 33rd, 21st, 19, 13, So he's on a bit of a tear. I feel good about that, especially at 7.3. He's
Hmm.
gotta keep playing well. Just gotta.
Doing okay.
Derek Higo. There you have it. 7.3. DraftKings. This was really kind of fun to research, actually, especially when we're thinking about who's on the bubble. Do we want to choose them? I'm so torn, like you said, about Justin Thomas. Do we choose him? Do we not choose him? I want to root for him. I might make some like independent prop bets, but I don't feel super great about adding him to my DFS lineup.
Like I might use them for like some one-off tournaments. I might use them in our pride tournament just to see. Like, yeah, go get him, buddy. But yeah,
All right. Well, there you have it, everybody. I hope you got some reassurance maybe on who you might have been thinking about this week. Um, Maybe you heard some new names and some new reasons. I hope that regardless, you enjoyed yourself. We had a few laughs. It was a good time. Tune in here every week at the Club Fantasy YouTube channel. Thank you for hosting us, Club Fantasy and Women of Fantasy Football. Thank you for supporting the dream. We'll see you back next week.
yay!
I wanted to play music.
Play the
Okay.
music now.